Welcome to another episode of Questions Are Answers, and today we're going to be talking about how do you know if your zone of genius aligns with your line of work? And this question was asked by one of my good friends, David, and so I really appreciate him for asking this question because most likely if he has a question or if anybody has a question, more than likely hundreds if not thousands of other people also have the same exact question. So the first thing that I want to preface this episode with in terms of your zone of genius and line of work is that there's a formula that I've discovered that allows you to feel fulfilled in what you're doing and how to know if you're in alignment with what you're doing and who you are, your being, your essence, your natural gifts and skills and abilities. So this fulfillment formula has three parts to it. One is love, the next one is energy, and the last one is freedom. You need these three things in order for you to know if you're aligned, your zone of genius is aligned with what you're doing right now. So the first one we'll dive into is love. This one is actually one of the most overlooked ones because most of us are conditioned to believe that our passion or what we love doing is more of like a hobby and not something that we can pursue full time and make a living out of it. This is just completely not true, especially today. And with all this technology, the internet, just democratizing so many different ways that we can work. So, I mean, right now, there's 30 to 40% or more of the entire US population now freelancing on top of having a full-time job. This is just unprecedented and never seen before. And there's more creators in the world than ever before in terms of YouTube, content creation, Instagram, whatever it is, TikTok. There are just so many different ways that you can monetize your passion and what you love doing. And so this is more for like the newer generation and they're catching a lot faster and they're starting to realize that you don't have to sacrifice what you love and what your passion is for money. And so the first one is just love. Do you love the industry that you're in? Do you love the people that you're serving? Do you love the art in itself of what you're doing, the skill that you're using? For example, if you're in programming, do you actually love programming or do you just like the result of making a lot of money from being able to program? It's really important to ask that. You have to love the actual thing that you're doing, the actual actions. And if you don't love it, then all you're ever doing when you're working is just working as a means to an end. So you're only working to get money. You're only working so that you can have something else later. This forces you to sacrifice your present happiness for potential future happiness that may or may not never come, maybe 40, 50 years down the line when you retire. That's just something that I don't want for you and that no one really has to do anymore, as long as you become aware that you can choose to be happy now by choosing something that you love doing instead of just sacrificing your happiness for something later. So the first thing is just love what you do. Do you love what you're doing? If not, find a way or find something that you do that you really love. And there's other caveats to this as well, which I'll go into when we go over all three parts of the framework. So that's number one, love. Number two is energy. I would also call this a natural inclination. So what are you energetically inclined to do? What is your energy level when you're actually doing the activity or your line of work? Or does it give you energy or does it stress you out? Do you get excited about it? Are you passionate about it? How do you feel energetically in your body? Does it lift your spirits up or is it just soul crushing and just eroding your essence, right? So ask yourself these questions and really tune into your body, your intuition, your inner wisdom. You always know how you feel and you always know the truth deep down inside if you look within. So look there and see how you feel energetically about what you're doing. So that's the natural inclination. That's the energy that is part of this fulfillment formula. It must really excite you. It must give you energy. And if it doesn't, then you should probably look for something else. So with the energy aspect of things, when you're energetically aligned with what you're doing, you're also going to be naturally good at it. So look at your energy levels as you're doing this work and see if the amount of effort that you're putting in is, I would say, asymmetrical to the rewards that you get out of it. A lot of times when we're aligned or in our zone of genius, our effort feels very minimal, but the results are just enormous. So for me, coaching, speaking, writing books, content, these things are very low effort for me and I don't really think about it and it just flows from me. So that energy input is very low, but the output of the quote unquote results or the content or whatever it is very high. So you want to look, what are you best at with the least amount of effort? That question comes from Steve Harvey. So look at yourself, just study the energetics of how you feel around your line of work and see the input versus output, how you feel about it in terms of like energy wise. Does it excite you? Does it inspire you? And then just look within yourself as well to find out how much effort do you have to put in to get out something that you create from it. If you're really in tune with that, then you'll see that you're going to be in flow most of the time that you're in this line of work. And when you're in flow, the productivity, the output is just enormous compared to when you're not in that state. So that's number 2. Number 3 is freedom. And when I talk about freedom, I'm talking about creative freedom. So do you have freedom in your line of work? If you don't have creative freedom or the ability to express your creativity in what you're doing, and you're basically just a robot where you're just crunching and typing away at the keyboard robotically, and it's just soul sucking, and there's not really any self-expression available to you through what you're doing, that will allow you or not allow you to feel fulfilled with what you're doing, and you're not going to be in your zone of genius. So every single human craves growth, craves expansion, craves expression, and we have to do that. Otherwise, we're going to feel like we're dying, essentially. That's what we are. The universe is always naturally expanding. Us as humans, we're a microcosm of the macrocosm. So if we're not constantly expanding, then we're going to feel contracted, we're going to feel stressed, we're going to feel frustrated. So in your line of work, are you able to creatively express yourself through it? Add your little flair to it, make it your own, make it unique. Doing things like that really helps to allow you to feel fulfilled with what you're doing. So those are the 3 aspects of the fulfillment formula, and you have to have those 3 things. Otherwise, you're not going to be in your zone of genius, even though you're doing something that you might be good at. So I'll give you a few examples to make this a little bit more concrete. If you are really good at what you do in your line of work, but you do not have creative freedom within there, and you also like the people that are in there, you like the industry, that formula will make you'll initially start loving it, right? You're like, oh, I'm really excited about doing this job. It's something that I am really good at. And then I really love this industry. So let's say programming within games, but then you're not able to creatively express yourself through it. So you're just like chipping away and you're just like solving problems and just crushing a bunch of bugs. And it's just not fun anymore because you're not able to put yourself into it. You're not able to express your creativity. And it's just like robotic motions. That is what a lot of people right now are doing. They're really good at what they do, but they really love the industry, but there's no creative freedom within it. So their passion, their love for it starts to fade away, it starts to die, and then we don't feel alive when we go to work anymore. And that's when we start hating our job and hating our boss and then hating a bunch of these different things and causing stress in our lives. So that's where most people are. There's also different parts of the fulfillment formula that people, I would say, activate, but then aren't able to activate all completely. So that's, for example, if you do have creative freedom and you do, for example, like the industry that you're in, but the skill that you're actually doing, like the actual physical work that you're doing, you don't enjoy, it doesn't light you up inside, it doesn't inspire you. Let's say you're just, I don't know, maybe you don't like customer support and you're in a customer support role where you can be more creative and you can say almost anything that you want in order to please the customer. And then you actually love the industry, but then you're not really using a skill, right? That is in your zone of genius. Then you'll also not feel fulfilled and you'll know that you're not in alignment. So feel for that. And then the other possibility, there's a lot of different possibilities, right? There's probably like 9 different possibilities that this could, of issues that you can run into or something that's lacking in the formula. So the other one is, let's say you are able to creatively express yourself. Let's say you're energetically aligned, but then you don't like the industry that you're in. If you don't like the industry that you're in, then you're going to fall out of love for the whole entire thing that you're doing, and you're not going to feel alignment with just your whole entire zone of genius. So those are the 3 types of things. So you have to have one, let's recap it. One, love for the industry itself, or just passion around what you're doing as a whole. The next is energetic alignment. So your energy. How do you feel when you're actually doing it? Does it give you energy? Are you inspired by it? Does it light you up inside? Does it feel like this was something that is your calling? That's my cat, if you hear that. And then third is creative freedom. Are you able to creatively express yourself and your individuality, your uniqueness within what you're doing? Are you able to kind of make it like an art instead of something that we're working at McDonald's and just constantly flipping burgers in the same way over and over again? There has to be a little bit of something for us to be able to express ourselves through. That expression is so key and vital to our fulfillment. So, and that's why most people have hobbies on the side, right? Something that they do for fun, like art or painting or writing poetry, something more artistic on the side, because that's a human need. That's something that we do so naturally. And if we don't find it in our line of work, we're going to find it outside of our line of work. But if you can bring that creativity into what you're doing and integrate it, then what you do becomes an art form in itself. And what we do is what we find fulfillment in. It's this alignment that is so magnetic. And I've never seen anybody that is in full alignment with their zone of genius and what they're doing, their purpose, that isn't attracting an abundance amount of wealth, health, creativity, people, opportunities, and just making a massive impact in the world. The people that you see that are just making a huge ripple effect of change and impact in the world are those that are energetically aligned and just have found what they were meant to do within their zone of genius. And they're in flow, they're able to express themselves creatively, they're able to be energetically aligned with it, and then they're also so passionate about who they're serving, the industry that they're in. So find that for yourself. That's how you really know if you're in alignment with what you're doing in terms of your zone of genius and your line of work. And this may seem a little confusing sometimes, and it may look uncertain. And that's kind of the whole point, because this is really an art form. It's not like a scientific thing like, okay, once you do this and then do this and then do C, you're going to find fulfillment. It's a blend of all of these different things. And the best way that I can point you to that's going to allow you to find this alignment is within yourself. You are the only one who knows if you're in alignment or not. There's nobody else from the outside. I can't tell you if you're in alignment or not. Some people can say that they're in alignment, but they're not. And some people can not be in alignment, but then say that they are. There's just an infinite number of ways to be able to express it. And you're the only one at the end of the day, when you go to sleep, by yourself at night, you're the only one who knows if you really are fulfilled, if you really are in alignment, if you really are in love with life and what you're doing. So go and look within. I always encourage people to do that. Don't listen to anybody else that's telling you otherwise and saying, this is the way that you have to do it. This is right. This is wrong. None of that is really true. Like, there's nothing completely conclusive in this world. And it's always ever growing, ever changing, ever expanding. And that's you. So don't worry if you haven't found alignment yet. This is all part of the process. You're exactly where you're meant to be. All of this is the journey to home, to yourself, to your own higher self, your own divinity, your own expansion. So that's all I have to say about this episode. Thank you so much again for listening. I do apologize for not posting for maybe about 4 or so weeks. And I really thank some of the people in my life that have encouraged me to go back and start posting again. I've been working on my book as well as a course that I'm working on too. If you're interested about that, just go to my website. It should be up there pretty soon in terms of the waitlist for the book. It's called Don't Believe Everything You Think. And the subtitle is Why Your Thinking is the Beginning and End of Your Suffering. So if you're interested in that at all, I would love to have you on the email list so I can tell you when it's going to launch. I'm going to be self-publishing it. So I would really appreciate any support that I could receive from you for that. And if you're really interested, then you can also buy it on Amazon. I think I should be doing a launch for that pretty soon here within the next, I would say, month or two. So watch out for an email from me, and you'll be able to receive that book pretty soon in ebook format, and then paperback should be soon right after that. So thank you again so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Love you all.